Run!
Okay,
He's gonna come pick you up.
Time being 6:25, we'll call the zoning board meeting to order for the month of February. And first order of business, did you, on the minutes, did you go over them?
I did.
Did you find anything?
Minor little typos, but they didn't have any influence on the sentence structure itself. So
You want to approve them as they are then?
see, I'm fine with them the way they
You
are.
good, fine?
I'll move to approve as written.
We got a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. That's going to go on the books. Done now. Okay, one item on our agenda this evening will be the ZBA case 1303, Lockmere Meadows Development, seeking a variance to Article 2, table dimensional values to permit parking the setback for a deli-style restaurant to allow the building within 10 feet of the boundary. Property located 215 Laconia Road in the Regional Commercial District, tax map R22 Lot 4. As you're aware, we have a short board tonight, so it does require either you to accept the board, where you'll need a ruling of three affirmatives in order for it to prevail. And I understand you want to go move forward.
That's correct. I understand, and I want to move forward.
Okay, that's assuming nobody wants to disqualify themselves. In which case, you have the floor, sir.
Very good, thank you. I'll try to be as efficient as you were with the minutes. So.
With the what?
With the minutes.
With the minutes, okay.
Yes. My name is John Bernard. For the record, I have Steve Nix, who's my attorney, and I have Mark McLeod, who's the Turner Group. I had Mark come in here so we can testify about how much we have done since the last time we've been in here. And in short, we've gone full cycle. We've gone and we've looked at this in many different ways. We did it. And after coming back and going through it, this is still the most efficient way, but what we did is we gave the 20-foot setback by making the building a little bit longer and a lot more narrow. So we tried different patterns with the traffic going around and laying it out, and it really wasn't working for us. And it didn't really meet the criteria that we needed it to. So that's how we came up with this decision. The other thing is I'm also met with an interior and exterior design. It was a husband and wife team for restaurants. And I showed him this. I was going to have them come tonight, but I stopped short of bringing them in because of what they wanted to charge for coming in for a consultation. But we looked at centering it and putting the building all the way to the back, because that's the other thing that we discussed in the last meeting. And basically what they were saying is that it was economically a disaster to try to put a restaurant all the way to the back. If people can't see the building, they're not going to stop in and they're going to forget about it. So being that, we've ruled out putting the building all the way to the back of it, because it just wouldn't happen. It's just not financially, economically feasible. The other thing I want to remind you guys, if you all can remember around here between the bagels, do you remember how they built their building down there? It's where the Agway is now in Belmont. Mm-hmm. They had a little restaurant all the way to the back. It was way back off the road. They had a big sign, but what happens is your mind tends to forget anything that doesn't see visually all the time. The next thing you know, you're driving by. That place went into bankruptcy, and it was sold at auction. So, being that all in mind, we really need to have some visibility of the building. So we have done this. And I'd like, because he's come all this way in the weather, and I want to thank everybody else for coming all this way. I was thinking about that too. I was saying, you guys really aren't profiting by this very much, but thank you for coming out in this weather, because I can understand it'd be a lot easier.
You haven't seen the bill yet.
So you're up to speak about, please, if you would, just talk to them about what you tried to do and different designs.
Yeah, as John mentioned, we looked at a number of different arrangements and layouts for the building and the parking around it. Given the dimensions of the lot itself, created the greatest challenge to it. I mean, we had looked at different ways to loop traffic patterns around, circling around the building, or to get it to come in and kind of have like a one-way, loop coming through. And one of the reasons we arrived at this is because it really does minimize the amount of area on the lot given over to circulation you know, we wanted to create the maximum number of parking spaces that we could, which would be important for the viability of a restaurant, and while minimizing pavement given over to circulation to allow the cars to move around. Give them enough to do that, but we wanted to dedicate more space to parking, individual parking spaces rather than the access way to get to them. And we feel that of all the things we looked at, this is the one that does that in the most efficient manner. And accomplishes everything that we wanted to and that John was hoping to get on this lot.
Thank you. One of the things I want to point out, because it became clear to me that what we're really looking for is one variance for one setback. We meet all the other setbacks. If you can see, you know what, I have some plans I want to put out in front of you folks so you can maybe look at them a little easier. These are the new, the revamped plans. So, what I want to point out is, you see this light, thank you, light dotted line here? I'm meeting all the setbacks except for just this one. So in other words, I'm meeting the front setback, back setback, and this side setback. We are asking for the variance for this one. This is a 50-foot setback, so hopefully, you know, really what we did after all of the expense and time of us trying to redesign, we just made the building narrower, gave you the 20-foot setback, which I know was one of the big concerns the last time.
No, we didn't like the 10-foot setback.
Right, I understand
It was
that.
too extreme. I do have a question relative to what the other gentleman said.
Yes.
You're talking about the restaurant being able to be visible from the highway. When this restaurant is created, whereabouts you can have the signage for the restaurant, of whatever name is going to be on the restaurant? They're going to be on this side, or they're going to be out here?
It's gonna be out here.
No, I mean, you can have something on the building itself.
Right, you would probably go on the face
Because
side.
if you're talking about out here, you could have the building anywhere.
Right, no, you'd have it on here, on this side. You can only pick one fascia, or
Yeah,
I believe
that's
it is.
what-
So we
Facade.
would- Facade, thank you, so we'll pick this one here.
Oh, you're going to consider that on the road as being the front, then, that's what
Yeah,
you're saying?
that would make the most sense
That
for
would
a
make
side.
sense, I mean, even for you to reposition it back here, it would make sense to have it on that end.
Right.
John asked me to make a couple of comments. First, the application that's before the board is actually for two variances. One is for the setback for the building, but the other one is technically for the setback for the pavement and the parking, because under the ordinance as it exists today, that parking is within the setbacks. We understand that there's a warrant article that would change that.
Correct.
But we need to sort of technically take care of that today in case the warrant article doesn't pass. So it would, and that is part of the application, so we request that just be, that, I'm just trying to make you aware of that as well. But John did spend a lot of time looking at this. I had quite a few conversations with John about moving it back, because my first impression was like your first impression, why not just move it back? And then we started talking about the bagel shop over there, and how when people go to a restaurant, or sometimes even to other commercial establishments, and the buildings are so far back they can't see them, it sort of gives a negative impact. And that's why it is important to have the building in a position that people can at least see it and get the feel that there's something on that lot. In providing a 20-foot setback and making the building a little smaller, I want to point out that the 5 criteria for the variance still apply. And I talked about those in detail at the last meeting. So I won't.
But not relative to this case.
Well, to the 20-foot setback. No, I talked about the five criteria.
The criteria for the other issue.
For which other issue? For the other design.
Excuse me, wait a minute. What's the whole, is this a new,
It's a continuance.
I thought there was two issues that we dealt with last time.
Well, mostly what we dealt with was the setback, is what really became the main
The building
focus of it.
setback,
Right.
the building
And
setback.
then
Right.
the other issue was the parking, so we really didn't talk too much
Oh, no,
about
no,
that.
I'm sorry, what I'm thinking is, what's your other lot?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, the other lot, right,
That's nothing,
right.
that's nothing.
Right, that's what I thought you were,
Oh,
yeah. But I did, at the last meeting before, from which this one is a continuation, I did talk about the 5 criteria, and I just want to emphasize that by adding 20 feet here, we are actually making, or still meeting the 5 criteria. And the issue that you raised regarding the 10-foot setback being too small, we've doubled what was requested here. As a matter of fact, there was some discussion down here that if you took the building and turned it, it would be 20 and 20.
That is correct.
And the rest of the design is basically the same. We have a good sight distance along the road. The parking will still come in, so it's not shining lights on the
Billy,
abutting
they're
neighbor.
upstairs.
And that was something that we had talked about. Back here is, will now be a larger green area. And I think one thing that I didn't probably state as clearly as I could, but it's the substantial justice test. And I'm reading from the new Office of State Planning Handbook, which just came out. I don't know if you all got your emails on that, but it's on the website. And,
Actually, I did, yeah, it's in my go ahead.
which I refer to all the time. I'm on the Guilford CPA too. The substantial justice test is any loss to the individual which is not outweighed by a gain to the general public is an injustice. And in this particular case, because the lot is only 108 feet wide, there's a huge loss for not being able to put a commercial building somewhere near the road so it's visible. It's a huge loss to the owner, which really, we're struggling to see what's outweighed for the public. You brought up the issue of the 10 and it's too tight. We created 20 in here, but all the rest of the setbacks for the building are met with this plan. It's really the best alternative for the commercial use of this lot. And that's what I would just like to impress upon the board, is that we still meet all 5 criteria, especially the substantial justice criteria.
Mhm. Well, I mean, there's no question what you have there, as opposed to what I suggested last time. You would have been encroaching on 3 setbacks with that other plan. It would have been through the rear of the lot. And in this case, you're only encroaching on 1. So that certainly is an improvement over what I had suggested. And by doubling the setback, at least theoretically, you could drive a car back there if you wanted now, as opposed to the 10-foot made it, for all intents and purposes, a little ridiculous why you have a setback. Okay, but I mean, the other thing, of course, to keep in mind is the fact that the setbacks were there before you acquired the lot. Okay, so you knew what the problems that you were going to encounter to begin with. So theoretically, you might have been able to think in terms of putting a hot dog stand there rather than a restaurant. Which I'm not quite sure. Is this going to be a deli restaurant? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, that's what we're hoping to have.
Kind of like the one Dunkin' Donuts is up there in, up by 140,
I'm not familiar with that one.
right by the Exxon station? The diner, excuse me, the
Oh,
diner.
the diner. Yeah, I mean, that would be nice if it was as nice as that one. That would work. And as successful as that one, that's a pretty good place, isn't it?
I know, it does
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
I don't think it has as many parking spots as you got on there, though.
Wow.
Doesn't seem to need
They
them.
they seem to do all right.
I mean, every time I've been there, it seems there's plenty of spots for parking.
It's not a very good place when you go outside.
No, no. It's nice to have good food.
I want to ask a question of Mr.
Sure.
McLeod.
Shoot.
Mr. McLeod, when you swung the building 90 degrees and moved it closer to Route 3, up front, did you try that routine, parking in the back?
We did, and what
Tell me
happened?
what your thoughts were then, what happened?
Well, in order to get this same number of spaces, when you're rotating it, you lose the spaces that are around the perimeter of the building, so you're looking at trying to establish, you know, an island of spaces in the middle, and that's when it gets down to the circulation needed to get around to all those spaces, ate up so much space and made it so cumbersome and difficult to get a vehicle to maneuver through there, is why we abandoned that,
You mean with,
that concept.
with parking in the rear,
Exactly.
trying to
Trying to get this
establish
number of
rows?
spaces and get a, you know, circulation pattern that a vehicle could.
So there wasn't
you know,
problems per se with the building, it was trying to deal with the parking.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the actual, one more question, Mr. McLeod, what's the actual, now, have you recalibrated the maximum amount of impervious coverage?
Yes, it's slightly greater, but it's still below the,
75%?
allowable. Yeah, it's 16,052 square feet, which is at 67%.
67%? Thank you.
You're welcome.
So signage will be on the end of the building,
Hmm?
and the self-standing sign, okay.
Ladies have any questions? Any answers?
When are they looking to start?
June.
Planning board tomorrow night.
I gave myself 8 months to get through the town permitting process, so.
No, I don't have any questions at this point. No one else does, I'll, by virtue of the rules, open it up to public comment. There really isn't any public here, so I'll close it again to public comment. Except that Gus would have qualified as public.
Yes.
He didn't.
It's great.
Town hall can order out.
Okay.
John will deliver.
That will be written to the.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Are you
just take it.
are you satisfied with the criteria coverage as it stands now?
Yeah,
Or do you think
that's better.
the criteria
Big
was
improvement.
given last meeting?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we could just take a couple minutes break here to make sure that everything's covered. Okay. If we were to go ahead and grant this, what conditions would we have to put on this thing? Relative to the remaining side setbacks and rear setbacks? None? We have to authorize parking.
right, the parking in the setback.
Yeah. Still got most of his,
Really, all the parking is in setbacks.
yeah, literally, okay.
The entrance to this, is this going to be on the narrow side, the 30-foot side? Or is it going to be in the middle of the 75-foot?
It'd probably be in the middle of the 75 foot, you'd have one entrance there. I think that makes the most sense. And actually, because the kitchen would be down towards the back, we'll probably actually bring it up towards here.
Okay, I'm just curious which side it would be on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a requirement for me to call it. So the front of the building has to have another one here sometimes. but-
Well, you're going to probably have to have two
Right,
to begin with, just for,
so,
the fire department's going to require that.
yep. probably be a third, right? You're gonna have one for the back, clean out the trash and things like that, so you'll end up with 3 doors at least.
I would think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I really don't know what condition, I mean, we're looking at the whole plan itself,
Right,
and, either the plan works or it doesn't, and the only thing I can think of is going after what we did on the other site, and that is, make a condition it can be any other structures in the setbacks other than what's shown on the plan, of which, there isn't any shown on the plan at the present time. What do you think about that?
mm-hmm,
Just in case somebody in the future buys it and wants to put more structures on it, that will be the variance limitation, will be no more structures and setbacks, such as enlarging the building.
Right, fair enough. I mean, the only way I could see that building being larger unless somebody accumulated another lot. You know, like, then they would want it a lot larger if they had another lot and additional parking, but I can't imagine. But anyways, that's fine, yeah, I guess.
That would be if they do it different.
Right.
If they bought the other lot, it would not be an issue, obviously, and they can enlarge without any problem.
what was that, condition you were just discussing? Oh, I was thinking of.
The condition could be, no other structures
Oh, yeah,
or expansion of the existing structure
okay,
within the setback areas. Which essentially is the whole lot. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
in any setback,
I'm sorry?
in any setback?
In any of the setback areas, meaning all of them, or, I guess it depends how your prior wording is.
Yeah, it said no other structures nor expansion of the existing structure shall be permitted in any set.
Any of the setback areas, or any of the setbacks is good enough,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Okay. That looks pretty good. I think that covers it. And the variance itself would be to, the motion would be to grant the variance. To position the restaurant as depicted on the site plan dated 1/7/2013.
I'm reading the, to permit paid parking in setback areas for a deli-style restaurant and to allow the building.
Yeah, okay, that's,
Let's see, we're gonna change that to 20 feet. Well, this was the original one,
Right.
okay? So it's just gonna change that from 10 feet to 20 feet.
Article 7. Permit paid parking, setback for a deli. To allow building to- Okay,
Do you agree with that? That should be 20 feet.
20, but are you gonna further define anything like the site, this plat, the way it's depicted here? No? necessary.
Let's see, variance of paid parking setback for a deli-style restaurant as depicted on the plan of is there a date? 2/4/13.
What's that?
The,
Oh, okay.
okay,
The plat number is what?
well, the date of the plan is 2/4/13.
Oh, yeah, 2/4/13, okay. Okay. So I'll make a motion then to, if everyone else is prepared to vote, move to permit paved parking in setback areas.
How about to approve a variance?
I had that earlier,
Oh.
yeah. Oh, yeah, to grant a variance. Yeah, I had that up further up here. Okay, just swing that down here.
Okay,
To grant a variance to permit parking in the side setback areas for a deli-style restaurant.
you gotta take the word side out, because it's also a rear too. He didn't say in the setback, he didn't say side setback, but both. Both the front and the rear setbacks are both affected here. So you gotta say general with that statement. Permit paved parking
In the sides, in the setback
in
area.
the setback area and for a deli-style restaurant
Yep,
to be allowed
yep.
within 20 feet of the west boundary. How's that?
Yeah, basically I was gonna go verbatim, except for including the word area, setback areas.
Okay,
The way he's printed it right here, to permit paved parking in the setback areas for a deli-style restaurant and to allow the building within 20 feet of the west boundary,
yeah, as depicted on,
west boundary, as depicted on plat dated 2/4/2013.
yeah, okay.
With a condition that no other structures nor expansion of the existing structure shall be permitted in any of the setbacks.
That's it.
How does that sound?
That sounds,
I'm good with everything except for the word existing. There's
Yeah,
nothing
there's
exists out
nothing
there.
A planned.
what?
Proposed.
Proposed, that's all.
Yeah.
You had the word existing in
I
there.
did.
And there was nothing existing out there except for the houses, that falling down house, so I thought that
No,
should
you're
be-
absolutely right,
Right.
John.
Changed.
I didn't even pick that up.
Proposed structures,
Okay,
structure.
good move, good call.
Thank you.
So
Finally
shows
got
you're paying
something.
attention.
You got something
So I'm
on.
hanging on every word.
Yeah, well, it's good to have us all in mutual agreement on it, you know, because,
I wouldn't wanna try to be
Saves
creating it
problems.
right now on the spot, that's
Huh?
hard to create something on the spot right now.
so, how does that
Saves
sound to
problems down the
everybody?
line.
Yes, yes, no
Maureen's
question.
okay with it? Did you get all of that?
Yes, it is.
You wanna read back so we know that what you have is what we,
He's read it verbatim from the thing, to grant the variance to permit parking in the setback area for a deli-style restaurant and to allow a building within 20 feet of the boundary, the west
yes, 20 feet of the west boundary.
boundary, as depicted on plan dated 2/4/13.
You might just wanna add the word site plan, because that's what it is, it's a
Okay.
site plan.
You want site plan, okay?
Site plan, please, yeah.
With a condition, no other structures or expansion of the proposed structure shall be permitted in any of the setbacks.
Yeah, you got it.
That's it,
That's the motion.
that's the motion.
Oh, I'll second.
help us out here.
Turn.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion? Good. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for this, this is so stressful.
Thanks
for me
for
to
your,
come in
thanks
front
for
of
all your
you.
hard work,
Thank
everyone,
you.
appreciate it too, Mr. O'Connell.
Thank you.
What you went through trying to
Just kept calling
accommodate
him up.
us here.
Try something else. I'm telling
No, it's hard with these
I
small,
think in the
narrow
future,
lots.
you really should buy bigger lots.
you. I think
Good
my
advice.
future's limited, I'm slowing down, I can't say.
Remember what the rule is.
Gotta
What,
get caught up
Get out
at
of
some
here.
point.
Speaking of that, I was gonna ask you, you still have your 172?
No,
Oh, you got rid of it?
I did.
Well, airplanes are like boats, aren't they?
They are, they're
The day you buy
happy.
it, and the day you get rid of it.
And they're going down, they're depreciating, they're so cheap now because of the cost of
We're
fuel.
talking about planes.
I know,
You talking about planes?
Yeah.
When are you going to be back
You didn't
to
catch
see
that
us
earlier?
about
Well, I
the
didn't
water
know,
across
we
the
also
street
dealt
there?
in boats.
I don't know, I need a break. How about you guys, need a month off
Oh,
or
I
two before you
love
see
the
me?
boats.
This
Yeah,
motion
you're working
to
us pretty
adjourn.
hard.
Motion to adjourn, please.
I gotta fade away for a while.
Okay.
Aye. Aye, aye.